Hi everyone, Nicholas Buffett is here from Sunny Cyprus and welcome to today's tutorial. Now, before I introduce the tutorial, before I say anything else about this video, you're probably wondering why I had the plunger on my head. Well, Roman, this is for you. I am a man of my word. You did want to put a plunger on my head the whole year, well, the whole 2 years while I was teaching you, and we did make a deal. The deal was that if you got an A star, I would take the next thumbnail of my video and put the plunger on my head. And if you didn't get an A star, well, you would have a Buffy's haircut. You got the A star, so yes, that was a real plunger, by the way. It wasn't photoshopped. Here is the plunger. And to answer your question, I'm going to go one step further for you, Roman. Yeah, if you do take a plunger and put it to my head, it does actually stick. As you can see, it sticks. All right, there you go. Ouch, actually sticks pretty good as well. All right, enough about the plunger. Today's video, what's it about? Well, it's a June 2020-24 paper 3.2. This is the most recent paper which has been released by Cambridge up until right now of creating this video. And of course, as a paper 3, it does actually compose of spreadsheets and web design primarily. Now, just a quick note, I'm going to be doing the web design part of this paper in Dreamweaver for this video, but I'm also going to create a separate video where I'm doing the web design part only in Expression Web. All right, well, that's enough about the paper and enough about the plunger. Let's get started with this tutorial. Okay, first of all, what we're going to do, we're going to have a look at the question paper, and here we go. Now, as always, I'm doing this paper the first time with you, so you can see my thought process. I have had a quick look at the question paper. It's always good for you to read the question paper as well before you start working. So it starts off with saying you have been supplied with the following source files, so you need to make sure you have all of these source files, they've been supplied to you. Gives you a little bit of information about what the theme of this paper is going to be about. It's about giraffes, are endangered species only found in parts of Africa. You will analyze data on giraffes that have been rescued, tagged, and returned to the wild. Is this information important or not? We don't know yet. We'll see as the paper progresses. Task 1, so this is the evidence document. Create a new word process document. Make sure your name, center number, and candidate number will appear on every page of this document. Doesn't say where, so I can put it anywhere I want. Save this document in your work area as J32 evidence underscore. I'm going to copy that because I've got the electronic version, followed by your name, your center number, candidate number, for example, this. All right, first step, that's what we're going to do. So first step, I've got all my files saved here. Let me just drag this up. Here are all my files. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new document. Right click, new Word document. And it's going to be called that underscore followed by your center number, CY27 underscore 1234. There we go. And I'm just going to open that and quickly put my details in the header. It doesn't say where, so I'm just going to put them in the header. Double click in the work area, and I'm just going to click on save just to make sure that is saved. Great. We can now go back to our question paper. Unfortunately, no marks for that. All right, task 2. This is the spreadsheet. So let's begin. Now, as always, guys, I tell you, read the questions carefully. Read the entire question. Don't jump straight into it. Now, I don't want to drag this video on for too long, so I'm going to skim through this. Basically says to open this file here. This will be used in steps 2 and 3. Do not make any changes to this file. And then examine this file here. Save the file J32 citing CSV as a spreadsheet with the file name giraffe underscore. So I'm just going to copy that, followed by your center number, candidate number, for example, that. And then it says, so I'm going to have a look at this later on. So I'm going to open these two files. What I like to do and what I tell my students to do, guys, is open the files it tells you to examine. So here they are here, sightings, and also the giraffe one. So let's open that as well. There. And I'm just going to save the file it told me to save. So that's the sightings one. So if I just go back to the sightings one, file, save as. Change that to an Excel workbook, give it the name it wants, CY127 underscore 1234. I think that's correct. Yes, it is. And just check at the top up here, we can see the file name and we can see it's correct. All right, now when it tells you to analyze this data, I always tell my students, don't read the rest of the question or read the rest of the question. It really doesn't matter, but I don't want you to read what you have to do yet. Try and figure out what the question paper is going to ask you without reading what it's going to tell you to do. And this is really important because you should be able to analyze that data and figure out what it wants you to do. It's going to make so much more sense because at the same time while you're analyzing this, you're getting a feeling of this paper, you know where everything is, and you get to understand it. So let's do that now. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at this paper here. I'm just going to drag that over a bit here so I can see everything like that. So I've got here tag giraffe sightings, number of sightings in 7-day period, okay, and then number of critically endangered sightings with photograph. So I'm looking to put two answers here. Here we've got number of sightings and then we've got countries, these countries here. So chances are this is going to be some kind of count if or sum if function where the criteria is going to be the country on this side here. Okay, so it says number of sightings, so that's going to be probably a count function, a count if, because this is a number. I'm going to be counting the number. Down here, I've got date, code, tag number. Let's just expand these so we can see everything. Species, country, status, photographic. So I've got two columns here which don't have something inside. That one and that one, species and status. So I'm probably looking at some kind of VLOOKUP here or a lookup function. Okay, so now let's go look at the other one. Just we're not going to make changes, just going to expand that like that so I can see everything. Okay, so here I've got the code, and I've got things like category, species. So there's one, and all species, scientific name, population, and status. Okay, so if we look at the previous one, the two empty columns were actually status and species. Okay, so there's my VLOOKUP function there. I'm going to be using probably the code. I'm just going to select this, use a conditional format. Now, you don't have to do this, guys. This is just what I like to do. I'm just going to see where the duplicates are so I can see which columns are unique. I'm just going to use the duplicate function there and just fill in anything with the light orangey color. Okay, so I can see that A, D, and E are unique fields. So you're not going to have a lookup value on the population or on the site. So that's going to be my lookup value, the thing I'm going to be looking up. So let me just undo that. All right, so there's my table. And let's go back now. Number of sightings in 7-day period. So if we look here, that goes from the 4th of the 2nd. I do remember in the question paper, it did actually say something about 7 days. So let's jump over to that. Right, it says here, rows 7 to 25 will show the number of sightings of tagged giraffes in each country for 1 week in February, from 7 to 25. Rows 28 onwards show the details of all sightings for this week. So this is for a week. So if we go back again, then we can have a look here. So we can see up to number 28. This is where we're going to find the number of tagged items. Up to row 28, it says? No, up to row 25. So this is where we're going to do a count if, and we're going to be counting how many sightings. And we know the sightings because we've got photograph. All of these here, these are sightings for a week. This is 1 week's worth of sightings. Okay, and we're going to be doing a count of that, and it's going to be a count if because it's based on this. All right, I've got enough information. I've got a good idea of what I'm going to be doing, so we might as well just jump into it. So let's go to a question paper. So we've done that. Place your name, center number, and candidate number center aligned in the header. And then I'm going to add place the text created on. Copy that. Followed by a space, the automated date, a space, then text at, followed by a space, then the automated time in the footer. So let's just go and do that very quickly. So over here, I'm going to go to my view. I'm going to go to my page layout view. This shows me where the headers are. Okay, there we go. So in the header, place your name aligned in center aligned. So there's my details. Okay, and then in the footer, click in here, go down to the bottom, go to the bottom. There's the footer. So I want in the footer, it doesn't say where, it just says in the footer. So I'm just going to use the left. So created on, Control V that. And then it wants automated date. So I'm going to go to the header ribbon. Since I'm in the header and the footer section, I can see the header and footer ribbon at the top. I'm going to put the current date, space at, space, and then I'm going to put the time, current time. Good. Now I'm going to click inside my document and just go to view normal. Now if I want to see if that's worked, then I can simply just do a Control P or file print and just have a look. Sorry, file print. And just have a look. There's my print preview. I can see my header up here, my footer down there. Looks good. Let's click on save. Okay, so from here, number 2, place a replicable formula in cell D28 to look up the species using the code and the external file, J32giraffe.csv for the array. Then it says place a replicable formula in F28, that's the other empty column, to look up the status of using the code and the external file, that for the array. And then replicate the formulas, steps 2 and 3 for all sightings. So I'll go do questions 2, 3, and 4 now. So this is quite simple, D28. So I just want to do it here, and I'm just going to let's contract that and expand that so you can see the entire VLOOKUP there. So equals to VLOOKUP. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I want the lookup value. Now, the lookup value that I want is going to be based on my code, that one there. Okay, using the code, it says. So that's what I'm going to be looking up, comma. Now I want my table array. Now my table array is going to be this one here. Now remember, with the VLOOKUP function, the lookup column must always be the first column. So here's my lookup column here. That's the first one there. And I only want to return for this one the species. So I only need to select the first 3 columns. There's no point selecting all of it because then it's useless information. Now at the top, I'm going to do a comma, and then I'm going to enter 3 because I want to return the value from the 3rd column of my selection. So the first column is this one, that's the second one, and this is the 3rd column. The final thing I'm going to put is I'm going to put false because I want an exact match. That basically, now you can only do an approximate match when you're looking up values. So I just clicked on that and press enter. Here's my formula. Okay, so I just want to put that there, false. I didn't add that. There we go. So false basically means it will only return a value if it finds an exact match. In other words, here, if it finds the text N3. If it doesn't find the text N3, then it will give an NA error message. Okay, now approximate matches you will only use with numbers, and if you want to know more about the lookup functions, lookup, VLOOKUP, HLOOKUP, the XLOOKUP functions, I have a tutorial on lookup functions. Go look that up. Okay, all right, so there's that, and since I'm going to duplicate that, I might as well do that now. Double click there, and there are all of my ones there. Now this automatically, my reference for my table here is an, there you go, it's got the dollar signs there, so it's an absolute reference because I called it from another sheet. So it's added that for me automatically, and that's important for when I copy down. Okay, the next one is status. So I'm just going to reduce that size there and expand the status one. Equals to VLOOKUP, open the brackets, and then from here again we're going to look up the code. We want the same table array, but this time we're going to look up the status. So we need to make sure we select all the way up to the status column, and the status column is the last one. Okay, so that's in column 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this time when it finds a match in column 1 with my lookup value, then it's going to return the value that's inside column 6. That's the VLOOKUP. So comma 6 and then comma false. Let's just double click on that. There we go. Close the brackets and press enter. So there's my VLOOKUP function there. Okay, and I'm just going to double click on that little selection handle there, and it's going to copy all the way down. Perfect. Now, it's always good to go get a code. For example, this one here is S1. It's giving me for the species the Angolan giraffe, and it's vulnerable. So I can just go and check that data. S1, there it is, Angolan giraffe, and it is vulnerable. Good. Quick save. And now I can continue. 5. Place in cell B3 a formula to count the total number of sightings for this 7-day period. So this is a 7-day period. If we see up here, remember it says this is basically talking only about 1 week for 7 days. So I want in B3 to count the total number of sightings. So these here, all of these are recordings of sightings whenever a giraffe was sighted. All of these here over a 7-week period. And we can see that because it starts from the 4th of February here, 2024, all the way to the 10th of February, 2024. And that's 1 week. So I want to count how many records there are in this table. So there's a number of ways you can do that. I'm just going to click. Let me just drag that out inside B3. I'm going to do an equals to. I can either do a count, which counts how many cells have numbers, and use the date column, close the brackets, and enter. And that's going to give me a count of 70. That's fine. Or I could do a count A, which basically returns how many cells have anything inside. That's also going to give me 70. And I can also choose a different range. For example, I could choose, for example, the code range. It really doesn't matter. As long as what you're using, there's no chance of it having a gap. Okay. Personally, I would use the date because that's what records. That's the date basically when the giraffe was sighted, so that's definitely going to be included. The date column is one that's going to have to be there. So you can use a count A or I'm just going to use the count. Let me just undo that. Let's go back to my count. There we go. I'm just going to use that one. Either one you use is absolutely fine. Number 6, place in cell B4 formula to count the total number of sightings for this 7-day period where a photograph of a critically endangered species was taken. So here we can see we've got 2 criteria. We need a photograph, and it has to be a photograph of a critically endangered species. Let's go look at our data. Here's whether they've got photographic evidence. So this column here, there has to be a yes. And this column, the status, is basically when it says if this is a critically endangered species. And I know something's critically endangered because it's got here the words critically endangered. Now, in the question, however, it says a photo of a critically endangered species. So you can basically do this 2 ways. I can search for the whole text. I can use wildcards. I'll show you both. All right, so what we're going to do up here is we're going to, escape that. We're going to come here and we're going to do this. Because we've got multiple criteria, then we need to use the COUNTIFS function. We can't do this with the COUNTIF. The COUNTIF will only use one criteria. So equals to COUNTIFS. Now, the first thing is I'm going to take one of these criteria first. It wants criteria range 1. So I'm going to check, first of all, whether a photograph has been taken, for example. So I'm just going to select from here all the way down to here. There's my range, comma, and then it wants the criteria. What criteria am I looking for in this column that I've selected? Well, I'm looking for the word yes, because that means they've got photographic evidence. Now, yes is text, so I need to put this in speech marks. I'm going to put yes. It's not case sensitive, so you can write it in all small letters, all capital, or make sure that's fine. And I'm going to test this first before I do the next one. So I'm going to close the brackets, press enter, and that gives me 59 records. Now, you can go through and count them if you like, if you have the time. Now, some people like to put the equal sign inside here as well. That's fine, because that's going to see it as text. The equal sign is equals yes, again, will give you 59. So whether you put the equal sign or not really doesn't matter, because if you don't, it will automatically say what you're looking for is an equivalent to the word yes. All right, next I want the next criteria. So my criteria range is I'm going to be searching here. Okay, there's my range, comma, and then what I'm looking for is the words critically endangered. So I'm just gonna, and you need to make sure you write this correctly. It's a bit of a bit more difficult for me, especially while I'm talking and writing these out because I'm dyslexic, but there you go. So now what this is going to do, it's only going to return a count if in this range here, it has the word yes for the photographic evidence, and in this range here, it has the words critically endangered. So if I press enter now, that should 12. So we're going to check that, but I'm going to show you something else very quickly. Just for a tutorial's sake, I used the words exactly critically endangered. It could have been that in here, I had, for example, critically endangered or critical for the status there, or another thing that had the word critically. So then I'd be looking for the word critically anywhere inside that value. But I was looking for something which was exactly the same as the entry. If you wanted to find something similar, so containing the word critically, then I could change this to this. I can use the wildcards and just put the star, the asterisk, star, asterisk, critically, asterisk. And that basically means as long as it contains the word critically somewhere in that text. Let's see, that should give me 12 again. Yes, it does. And again, at the same time, you could use the equal sign, but because it will by default use the equivalent, it has to be the same, then you don't need to. But just to demonstrate, I will put the equal sign. There it is, it's 12 again. So I'm just going to undo that and undo that. I'm just going to leave it with the whole word where it's looking for the whole entry there, because it told me to look for critically endangered. Okay. Okay, so here it says insert a new row between 5 and 6. Place in cell A6 the text critically endangered. So this is going to be in the new cell, in the new A6, because once I add a row, whatever's in A6 is going to go down. So let's just go back. So I'm just going to click here. Now, there's a couple of ways you can do this. I can either right click on the number 6 and go to insert. That's going to add a row above. Just undo that. Or I could click in any cell, and then from the home menu at the top, you got this in here, and you can just insert sheet rows, and there you go. All right. And inside here, I'm going to add the new text, critically endangered. There we go. Place a replicable formula in cell B8 to display the number of sightings of critically endangered species in this country. So this is a COUNTIFS again, because I want all the ones which are critically endangered again, but this time I want based on the country instead of based on the photograph. So it's exactly the same thing. There's no difference to the previous one that we did. So here in B8, I'm going to do again another ifs function, COUNTIFS. So just zoom that in for you. Equals to COUNTIFS, open brackets. Now, the first thing I'm going to look up is going to be the country. So here's the country. So I want from here, I'm just going to click on, I'll show you how to do this. I have been asked in the comments how to do this. I click on the first one, scroll down. Then before I click on the last one, I hold down the shift key on my keyboard. So I'm holding the shift key down, click one time, and then I can let go of the shift key. And that selects everything between those 2 points. And within that range of cells of countries, I want to find all the ones that contain that one. That's my criteria. So it has to equal to whatever's inside here, Botswana in this case. And then the next criteria is going to be whether they are critical again, critically endangered. So that's going to be my range over here, the status. So again, I'm going to click here, scroll down, shift, click, and comma, and then my next criteria is going to be critically endangered. I actually copied that already. Now, I already know that I'm going to need to put absolute references, but let's just check that my formula works first. right? So there isn't one for Botswana. And I could check this. I could go down if I'm not sure. So if I go down and look for Botswana, there you go. So there's Botswana there. These ones here, but these are both vulnerable. They're not critically endangered. Again, vulnerable. Again, vulnerable. So I don't have anything in Botswana which is critically endangered. And that makes sense. That's why it gave me a 0. Okay, good. Now, I need to copy this down for the rest of the countries, but I'm just going to demonstrate. If I copy that down, again, I have a tutorial on relative and absolute and mixed references. Go to my playlist, go to Excel, and you can find all of that. I'm just going to do a sample. If I copy that down now to show you what I mean by relative references, if I use that, can you see that my ranges have moved down? That's because I've copied that now. I don't want these to move down. I do want this one to change from A8 to go to A9, A10, A11, and A12, but I don't want the ranges to go down. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click on the first one, select the range of cells, press F4 on my keyboard to make it absolute. Do the same with this one, F4. I'm not going to make the A8 absolute because as I copy this down, I do want to go to the next countries. And now I'm just going to copy that down for the rest. All the way down, and I'm just going to click on this one here and just double check. So double click, and there you go. You can see that's moved down to the next country, but my ranges have not moved. Great. Okay, so that's my count functions here. Perfect. All right, now it says format the top of your spreadsheet so that it looks like this. I hate these things. It's just a waste of time if you ask me. But anyway, I'm gonna try and do this quickly, and if it takes me a little bit longer than I think, then I'll just fast forward it. But here I've got a sans serif font. We can see that there. The row number 2 is slightly smaller than the rest of the rows. Row number 1 is much bigger. It's about 4 times bigger. This is text wrapped after the word giraffe. I've got these here aligned to the right. These aligned to the center of the cell and in the center vertically and horizontally. These are aligned to the right. These are aligned to the center. And I've got some text wrapping here as well. And row number 5, again, is a bit smaller. So let me just go and do that. I'll try and do this quickly now. But, if I do miss something, you can call me out on it. I don't mind. It's just this is a bit of a pain. And it also says down here, make sure A1 to B1 and A6 to B6 are merged. Set the font size in rows 1 and 6 to 20 points. Okay, let's go do that now. So that's going to be merged. That needs to be 20 points. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to text wrap this right away. Now, what I do when I text wrap, I get rid of that space. Because if I text wrap here and do that, so I'm going to hold the Alt key down. So I'm holding the Alt key on my keyboard and pressing Enter. Then what happens? It takes that space there as well. Can you see it? That little space there? I don't want that space. So I can delete it from here if I want. There we go. All right, and that's 20. And I'm just going to make that bold as well. From what I can see, that's bold. I'm going to make row 1 quite a bit bigger. And I'm going to make sure it's aligned to the center vertically and horizontally like that. And I'm going to make that a bit smaller. Let's just leave it for now so I can do the rest of the paragraphs. Now, row number 2, that's going to be slightly smaller like that. It's a bit too much. Number 3 is text wrap. The word period goes to the bottom. So I'm going to click before the word period. I'm going to backspace to get rid of the space. Hold the Alt key down. While I'm holding that, press Enter. And that will automatically text wrap for you. And then I'm going to do the same for this one after the word critically. So again, I'm going to get rid of that space. Hold the Alt key, press Enter. Can you see it also does? And then I also want photograph. Backspace, hold the Alt key, press Enter. And it also enlarges the height of your cell for you. I'm going to select those, move those over to the right. 70 and 12 are center aligned to the middle and vertically and horizontally. Number 5 is a bit smaller, a little bit more. Let's do that. And then this is critically endangered. That's merged. That's going to go to 20. not 22. Make it bold. It's not wrapped. Then I've got the word country and number of sightings. That's bold. Sightings goes to the next line. So let's just get rid of that space. Hold the Alt key, press Enter. And I'm going to make these bigger. Select them. Align vertically and horizontally to the middle. And then I've got all of the countries over to the right. And all of these to the middle. I think I've done it. Wow. Is it possible? Oh, yep, country is a bit bigger. Critically is a bit bigger. Let's just make that just a little bit bigger. I'm not going to be too fussy with this. I'm just going to leave that there. Now, what I am going to show you here is this. I want you to notice something. In this image here, you can see it's got a sample of the data here. Botswana at 0, Burundi at 0, and Cameroon at 2. These are actually correct values because if you go back, that's one way to check that you've done your formulas correct. There you go. I've got 0, 0, and 2. Okay, Botswana, Burundi, and Cameroon. So I know I've done my formulas correct because that's what's in that question paper. Okay, I don't think I've missed anything, but if I have, well, you need to pay a bit more attention when you're doing your exam. All right, let's move on. So save your spreadsheet. Okay, and then let's just read this. Print your spreadsheet showing the formulae. Make sure that, oh, what I haven't done, I haven't adjusted the width of those yet, but I'm not printing it yet. So let me do the formulas and then I will print it. I need to adjust the widths of these things. So, and that's really bad of them because they're asking you to print the formula. So if you did spend the time to adjust the widths to make it look the same, then now all of those are going to get destroyed because you're going to show your formulas. You need to expand everything and you have to do it again. That was a bit mean of them. So print your spreadsheet showing the formula. Make sure that it's in landscape orientation. The row and column headings are displayed. All formula are fully visible. Okay. So from here, I'm going to go to my formulas. And then up here, show formulas. Now, you can see straight away here, some of these are being cut off. Okay. So I don't want that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click in the top left corner to select everything like so. And then I'm going to double click between any two columns. And that's going to automatically adjust all my columns so all of my formulas show. This is the most important step, guys. If your formulas are cut off, you will not get any marks. Okay? So the row and column headings are displayed, all formula fully visible. So let me just do a quick Control P for print. Now I'm going to change this to landscape. Now I can see down here, it's 12 pages. That's a bit big. It doesn't matter. So let me just go page setup, sheet. Let me put the row and column headings as it requested. It didn't ask for any borders. All right. Let me see if I can, if I reduce the margins, let's see what happens. So I'm just going to go to scaling, custom scaling options and margins. I'm going to reduce the left and right margins a bit. Oh, look at that. It's gone down to 8 pages. That's already better. If that was still a lot, I could reduce the size a bit if I wanted to. So I could go to custom scaling and on the page, make it say 90. Let's say I make it 85%. That makes it 6 pages. Now, you don't want to make it too small because you want the writing to be clear and easily readable. Okay, so if you print this and it looks good, that's fine. Is it a problem if you've got more pages? Absolutely not. The examiners will look for it. If it was a problem, it will be stated in the question paper. So I'm just going to change that back to 100%. And I'm going to leave that as 8 pages. And that's it. You will print that. Now, I'm just going to say Microsoft Print to PDF. I'm not going to print this. You will print to your printer. Okay, so let's say I printed that. The next step is 11. Select rows 1 to 7 inclusive and only the rows between 8 and 26 where a sighting took place. Take a screenshot of the method used to select these rows. So I've got to select the row right between 8 and 26. Place this screenshot in your evidence document. All right, so between 8 and 26. So let me take the formulas away. We've printed that. Okay, good. And can you see it's automatically adjusted? It shows everything nice and neat. So between 8 and 26, so I want between 1 and 7, and then only where a sighting took place between 8 and 26. Okay, so all the ones that had a sighting in those countries have got a number. The ones that didn't, they've got a 0. So I need to filter this data so I only show the ones that have a number or anything greater than 0. And I need to show my method in my evidence document. So I'm going to select this data here, including the headings. I'm going to go to Data, Filter, and I can, there you go, it's added the little filter buttons for me up here. So I'm going to filter this one and just get rid of the one that has a 0. Now, it did say that I need to show evidence of how I did this. So I can just take a screenshot of that. And as soon as I go to screenshot, that vanishes, doesn't it? So what I'm going to do, there are ways you can use the Windows Shift S. You can do the print screen, and then you can crop it. I use this way. I'm just going to put a little timer, a 5-second timer, click on New on my snipping tool. Then I'm going to filter this like this, and then I'm just going to wait. 3, 2, and there you go. So that menu is still there. And I can take a screenshot of that and put that there. Okay, great. Now I can go and apply that. And there you go. So that's going to be my printout. Now, the other way you could have done this, there is another way, so I might as well do that as well. Select all, click OK. I could click on that little arrow there. I could go to number filters. I could do my own custom filter. I could say greater than 0. And I can take a screenshot of that. And that's absolutely fine as well. Okay, you just need to show that you're using a filter. So I'll just leave that there. Now I need to take a screenshot of this area here only. So I'm going to select the area I want. So that's 1 to 7, and then from 8 to 26 only where there was a sighting. So that's that area there. File print. And now I'm going to print only the selection. That there, I want that to be portrait, because that's what it says. So the printout fits on a single page. The printout is in portrait orientation. The row and column headings are displayed. They are. And the contents of the cells in the selected rows are fully visible. And they are. The reason why they want the column headings is so that they can see you didn't just go and delete everything. They can see the row numbers here of the ones where there was data. Okay, and you would print that. That's my second printout. I'm not going to print it. Let's jump over. Okay, so task 3, file management. It says create a new folder called J32. Locate only the following files and store them in your J32 folder. And then display the, okay, so I'm just going to drag, let's just come over this side here. There's my folder with all my files. Let's just make that a bit smaller there. And I'm just going to drag this over here so you can see that as well. Just up to there. So, oh, there we go. Okay, just so I can see the file. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to right click, new folder, call it J32. And this just allows me to see the files I need to bring over and the files I have. So I want J32 banner and contact. So it's going to be that one, that one. Just using the control button for multiple selection here. Feed, logo, text. That's the video feed, logo, text. And then web, what. Web, what. I'm just going to Control C to copy that, go inside my J32 folder, and Control V. There we go. Now, the reason I'm doing this is so that I can see, and we can see together what it is it's asked me to do. So it says, display the contents of your J32 folder showing the folder name. So I've got the name there. All folder name, sorry, the folder name is at the top, is up here as well. All the file names, the file extensions. So I need to add the extensions, the file sizes, the image dimensions, and the frame height and frame width for the video. So this is quite popular in the 2024 papers. So the way you're going to do this is this. First of all, you need to be in the view details section. That's the first one. I think the content also has quite a bit of that. So if I go to view and I go to content, does it give it? Yeah, it does. You can choose the content. Can you see it gives you the frame height, the frame width. It gives you the extensions here, and type JPG, Okay, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you probably, I think, the best way to do this, and that's because you can add any detail you want. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, I'm going to, from the details view, I'm going to right click on any one of these headings up here. So if I just right click on this one, go to more, and that's going to open up this dialog box here. And from here, you can choose any content, any piece of information you want about any file. So I want the folder name, the file name, the file extension. I want the file extension. So I'm going to go down to F, file extension. There you go. I'm going to tick on that one. File sizes. I've already got the file size here. It's got here the size, so we can see that. The image dimensions. So let's just go to the top for D. Dimensions. What else does it want? And the frame height and frame width. So go down to F, frame height and frame width. Click OK. And there you go. Now I've got all the information which it's asked for me in that file there. I'm just going to get rid of that navigator like that. So now I'm going to take a quick screenshot. Again, guys, I'm going to say do not use dark mode. But anyway, it doesn't print well. So that's my screenshot. That goes in my evidence document like so. And I just want to make that I'm going to make that tight just so I can make that a bit bigger, but within the margins there. And as I said, dark mode doesn't print very well, but when you print this, this should be nice and readable and all the information should be there. Click save. And now I can continue with my question paper. Okay, task 4, let's begin. Web page. It says here you will create a web page to help raise awareness of giraffe conservation. Create a web page called J32 Web. So that's going to be the name of my page. And save this in your J32 folder. This web page must be created using a single table and work in all browsers. The table must fit 75% of the browser window and have a structure as shown in this diagram. Okay. Table borders must appear on the final page. Each table cell is identified with a letter and must not appear on the final page. So let's go create this structure first. Very quickly, this seems a very basic table structure. It's like 2 columns and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows. Remember, a quick way to check to make sure you're doing this correctly, you can extend all the lines, and that way you can count how many rows and columns you need to create the structure they tell you. And I've got 1, 2, 5 rows. So let's just get rid of those. All right, so first step, let's jump into Dreamweaver. Okay, and from here, I'm going to go to File, New, HTML document. And this is my setup. I have my CSS design on the right-hand side, my properties at the bottom, my split vertical code, and then the WYSIWYG. So if you want to see how to set this up, go check out. I've got a tutorial in the Dreamweaver playlist. Number 1 tells you how to set up Dreamweaver. Okay, I'm not going to use the designer for now. I'm only going to use that when I'm going to be working around with the styles or external style sheets. So I'll open that up when I need it. And that gives me maximum space over here. All right, first step, I'm going to create a table. Now, the first thing I need to do is click one time inside this WYSIWYG area, and I can see my insertion point at the top. This is going to place my insertion point here after the body tag. As soon as you start the HTML web page, your tag is usually up here or up here in the head section. So when you insert your table, a lot of students, and I'll do that now for you, insert table. Doesn't matter what table I've got. You can see the table has been generated, but you don't see anything over here. And that's because my insertion point was in the head section. So you need to click one time here, put that in the body section. Now I can go to insert table. And as we said, I want 5 rows. I want 2 columns. I want the width to be 75. We're going to change that to %. Border thickness is going to be 1. And click OK. Is there anything else? No. There we go. Now we can see that the width and the border have been included in the table tag as an inline style. So any styles that you apply, whether it's in the style sheet or whatever, these will not be overridden. I have a whole tutorial that it's a must watch on styles, external, internal, inline styles and classes. You need to watch that as part of the syllabus. Very important to understand. So this is the table tag, this is the attribute, the width, and this is the property. And there's my table. So the next thing is I'm going to select these two cells here, right click, table merge, and then I'm going to merge these ones here just to follow the diagram. The other way is down here in the properties. You've got the merge button down here. Click on that, and then I'm going to merge these two as well. Right click, table merge. Set the title of the web page to giraffe conservation. So I'm just going to copy that so I don't have to type it out. All right, so in Dreamweaver, so let me just do a quick save here, file save. I need to save, I haven't actually saved this with the name that I was supposed to, so J32 web. So I'm just going to go to my desktop, go inside here, there it is, my J32 folder, and that's going to be J32 web. Okay, so now I've saved it. Now I should have done that from the beginning. Now I can open that up and just have a quick preview. There you go. Now you can see up here, the tab is called Untitled Document. That's the title of the page. So you can see in Dreamweaver, when you create a new web page, it gives you the title tag in the head section for you already. It's called Untitled Page. I'm just going to change that to Giraffe Conservation, get rid of the space, Control S to save. And now if I reload that page, we can now see it says the title is Giraffe Conservation. So we've done the title. Next, it says place in cell A the image J32 banner. I'm just going to make that a bit smaller so I can see the table. So that's cell A up here. And then B, I'm going to put the video tag. So let's just go put the banner in first. So click in the top cell there, insert image, and we add the banner. It doesn't say anything about the width or how much of the cell it should take, so we're just going to leave that as it is. Okay, so then C and D are images, B is the video. So we're going to go add the images first. So we're going to put this J32 what in C and J32 contact in D. And then we'll come back and do the video, but we have to make sure we remember to come back and do that one as well. So insert image, here we want the what, and in D we want insert image. We want to put the contact, just make sure this is correct, good. And now we can go back and have a look at B. So we've done A, C, and D. So B, it says a video tag to display that video so that it fits the width of this cell. So we need to change that to 100% width. This video must show the controls and play automatically. So we need the controls and it has to play automatically when the web page opens, display an automated text-based error message if the browser does not support this video type. Okay, now in Dreamweaver, this is really quite straightforward. So let's get started with that. I'm going to click inside that cell there. That's where I want it, inside B. Insert HTML, HTML5 video. There's my video. And then down in my properties area, down here, we can see I've got the source. I'm going to click on the folder. And there's my video. Good, let's just do a quick save, file save. Now, automatically in the properties area, you can see the controls tick box is selected, and we can see, let's just make that a bit smaller up here. We can see that the attribute for the video here, so the video, there's my tag, and then it's got this attribute and control here, control. So that means it's already added the controls. What is this? So if I do a control save there and just reload this page, there's the video. You can see I've got the controls down here. I can click on the play button and it plays. Now, if I remove that tick, Control S, and let's just reload that page now, you can see there's no way, I'm actually clicking on this now, there's no way to play this video. So that's what the controls are for. So it says it wants the controls to be added. So we're going to add the controls. It wants autoplay. Now, autoplay sometimes works on some browsers, on other browsers it doesn't. Don't worry, as long as you've got the attribute. So there you go, autoplay equals autoplay. And then I also want, now if it wanted it to loop, so when it plays, it loops it. So you've got the loop there, you can put that attribute and its property loop, okay? It doesn't, so I'm just going to remove that. And then it wants a fallback text in case this isn't supported. So the fallback text is here. That's actually going to add it just after the source tag. So let me just spread these out a bit for you. There's the video tag. Let's just make this clearer to see. Just move that back. There's the video tag. There's the source tag, and that's where the video tag ends. Okay, that just makes it a bit easier for you to see the structure. Okay, so inside here, the first thing I want to do is to put the attribute width. Now, I could do this from the properties as well. I don't like doing it from the properties, but sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. 100%. Okay, so I've now just added for the video the width attribute and giving it the value 100%. It's got the controls and the autoplay attribute with its values. And here is my source. Now, the fallback text is going to lie here, okay, right after the source before the slash video tag. So if I click on that and just type here, click on the video, there we go, and fallback text, this video file type is not supported by your browser. Okay, and if I just click over here, you can see it's actually added that just before the video tag here. Now, what does this mean? If your browser does not support this file type, video MP4, then it's going to give this error message. Now, there is something else, and I'm going to show you this as well, because this could be asked in the examination as well. You may have different versions of or different file types of the same video. So you might have an AVI video type, or you may have a different another file type. Okay, so let's say I had an AVI as well. That would mean that in my folder I would also need to have the AVI video as well, not just the MP4. Now, if I did, then I could copy this, place this under here, okay, and let's say that's going to be called the J32 feed AVI, and the video type is going to be AVI. Now, what does this mean? Because this is from top down, it's like a cascading programming code. It will read the first line. If this is not supported, then it will not play that video, okay? And it will go to the next line. If this one's supported, then it will use the AVI version. If this one is supported, then it will play the MP4 version, okay? And that's how this basically works. So you could put different sources here. And if the first one's not supported by your browser, it will try the second one. If that's not supported, if you've got a third one, it will try the third one. And if that's not supported, then it will just give this text here. Okay, so that's how you can add multiple video file types for your browser to choose, or basically cascade through till it finds one that works or give the error message. It didn't ask for this, so I'm just going to remove this for now, but that was just a bit of extra information for you in case you are asked something similar in an examination. Okay, so that's my video. Let's just do a quick save, Control S, let's reload that. And there we go. Good. Again, I'm not going to change anything unless it tells me to. So I'm going to jump back over here. So we've done that. I have put the size of the video. Yes, width 100%. Okay, number 16. In cell E, enter cell E, the text this. So I'm just going to, oh, no, let's get rid of that. I'm going to copy that. The page edited by with the colon. Then on a new line, not a new paragraph. Your name, center number, and candidate number. Set this to start of H3. So here I'm going to paste that. Now, a new line basically means I'm going to hold the shift button, and while I'm holding the shift button, I'm going to press enter. And what that's going to do, it's going to break this line. It's going to add for me automatically the BR tag right there in my source code. Okay, so you can add it in manually, but if I do shift and enter, you can see it's added here the BR tag, and that's a break. And I'm going to add my details. I think that's correct. Yeah, you're saying that right. Now, if I press enter alone, so I'm going to use enter here. So there, after this, I'm going to press the enter button so you can see what it does. If I do that, you can see it's going to add here. Let's just do that. Enter. Okay, can you see it's added a P tag? So that's a new paragraph. I don't want a new paragraph. It said a new line, and that's what I gave it. Okay, let's go back. Place in cell F the text from J32 text.txt. Set this text. Oh, I didn't put this to heading 3, did I? And then this text set it to paragraph off. So let's do both of those. So I'm going to select that. Down here, my properties format, I'm going to choose heading 3. And then let's just make that a bit smaller. And then in here, I'm going to get the text from the text file. Control A, Control C. I'm going to paste that in there, select everything, and then I'm going to change that to a paragraph. There we go. And if I check that, there it is. It's got the P tag right there. Right, attach the style sheet J32 web.css to your web page. Do not edit the style sheet. Okay. And then make the image. Well, that's it. So I'm not going to create a style sheet. I just need to add it. So let's go back. Now you can go attach the style sheet from file, attach style sheet, but I don't like doing that. I use the class down here in the property. The reason why is if you were asked to add a class, whether in an internal class or a class from your style sheet, the external style sheet, you would be able to add that class from here, but there aren't any classes here. So I'm going to attach the style sheet from here because it's just one place, it's my go-to place for everything. Attaching a style sheet and attaching classes, for example. So I'm just going to go to browse. My style is that one there. Click OK. Oh, look at that. So we've got a different background and we've also got a background picture here. So let's just do a quick save. File save. Let's reload this now and see what that looks like. Okay. All right, interesting. So it's giving me a background picture, background color, and it's modified down here, the text. All right, so that's been added. So we've attached that style sheet. Next, it wants make the image J32 what.jpg a link to open a web page, that web page there in a new window called _blank. All right. So we want this image here. We're going to go down here where it says link in the properties area. I'm going to click on the folder and I want it to open the what page. There it is there. And here it is up here. Okay, so the href, the A tag, that's the value. It's going to that web page. And at the same time, I want that to be the target window. So down here again, with this image selected, okay, that's where my link is. I've got here target and I can choose _blank. Now, if what you've been asked to add as a target is not there, you can just add it in, underscore whatever it tells you. Click on save, Control S, so I've saved that. Jump over here. So then make the image that a link to open the, oh no, we've done that. Make the image that one, contact the link to the email. So let me just copy the email. I need to copy a little bit more than the email actually, otherwise it will go to the link. And the subject line should be giraffe. Okay, so let's go. I'm going to click on the contact us here. And down here in the properties area in the link, I'm going to write my mail to tag, mail to : just make sure you spell that correctly. I'm going to paste my email there and just get rid of the extra character there, press enter. Now I could carry on writing in there, then the question mark subject equals, but it's very small, so I'm just going to press enter. And here's my code. Let's just move that image tag down. So there's my href to my mail to tag here with my email address. And to make sure I add the subject line as well, I'm just going to use a question mark here. That basically says that's the end of the email address because you cannot have a question mark in an email address. And then I'm just going to add subject equals to, I'm going to write what I want it to equal to, giraffe. All right, and it's just a quick save, Control S. And now if we reload this, so if I click on the what do we do, that opens the next page, which was the target _blank. If I click on that one, it should open up my email program. There it is there. There's the email. There's the subject line. Okay, great. No, don't want to save that. And now we can go back and continue. So we've done that. All right, save your web page. Take a copy of your HTML source and place this in your evidence document. It does say take a screenshot, take a copy of your HTML source, display your web page. All right, so let's do that first. Now, guys, it's common sense. You've done all of this. The only way the examiner is going to be able to mark it is if you show evidence of everything. That's going to be your code. If you made a style sheet, then you have to do a copy of your style sheet where it's a screenshot or copy the code, and you need evidence of your page in the browser. So you should be looking for these things. I'm just going to click here, Control A, Control C. I'm going to go to my Word document. Just going to press, let's just go to the next page down here, paste that in there. I'm just going to select all of this like this. I'll just change the paragraph settings to so that it's nothing afterwards, and make that single line spacing. Okay, let's just make that 0. Good. That just makes my whole code smaller. Hopefully it fits on one page. Oh, it does. There we go. That fits on one page, or at least less page. It's easier for the examiner to mark now. So there's my code. And then it wants display your web page in the browser. If necessary, resize it so that all the page can be seen. So you want the home page, the text can be easily read, and the address bar is fully visible. Take a screenshot of evidence showing your web page in the browser. Place it right. Okay, so now we want to go to our browser. And if we open that here, we can now see, here's my work. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to resize this. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to restore my page. I do this because I want to make sure that the borders of my home or the borders of the window are all visible. So I want to be able to see all 4 borders, the top, the bottom, the left, and the right. And then I'm going to adjust the zoom by holding the control button and moving the wheel on my mouse. There you go. So that everything displays properly. Now, what am I looking for? I'm looking for the width to be wide enough to show this image here is right aligned. Okay, because that's what the style sheet said. 2, I want to make sure everything is nice and neat, so I can adjust that like that. And I don't want it too wide because I want it to be able to fit on my page easily. Then I want to be able to see all the borders. I want all the text to be seen, and I want this to be big enough so that everything is readable. If I zoom that a bit too more, the bottom of the text drops off. So I'm just going to play around with those until I get that. Now, I'm going to take my screenshot now. So I'm going to click on New, and I'm going to make sure that I take slightly over the borders of that window, like so. And that shows them that the name, here's my screenshot. So this is what we're looking for. The name of the page is highlighted up here. Let me just use white. The name is highlighted there. Then you can see the location of my files. And at the same time, the borders are visible. So here are the borders right there. That's where my borders are. Okay, they can see all of that. And now they can see everything that this web page has. And I'm just going to add that in my down here. Like so. I'm going to double click, make that tight, just so I can make it a bit bigger, and that slightly bigger will make everything show like so. Now, some people have asked me, is it okay if I make this page landscape? It is, but it's not necessary. They're not looking for anything in particular which they haven't asked you for. For example, they're not looking to see if you spell any of the text here correctly because they gave that to you. What they're looking for is that the buttons are there, the video is there, the controls are there, the style sheet has been added, the name of the file at the top. These are the things that they're looking for. Okay. All right, printing. That's it. We're done. Okay, that was it. Not extremely bad paper, but in the spreadsheet part, there was a lot of COUNTIFS, some tricky things there, and VLOOKUPs. It wasn't really that loaded, the spreadsheet part, but it did require you to read the scenarios and analyze those spreadsheets carefully so you can get a good understanding of what the questions are going to be asking you to do. And this is a really good practice for you. When you are going to be doing spreadsheets, make sure you try and guess by analyzing the spreadsheets they give you and try and figure out what it is that you're going to be doing. That's going to help you a lot. Now, the web design, again, guys, if you're using Expression Web, I'm going to recreate the web design part of this paper as another video tutorial, but only using Expression Web. So I've got you guys covered as well. I hope you like this video, me and my plunger. Okay, say goodbye. And if you like this video, you did learn something new, then you know the drill. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. I'll see you again in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.